How to think in English. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy you found us. This channel is all about helping you learn English more effectively and, most importantly, building your confidence in both speaking and thinking in English. Today's topic is one that I'm really excited to share with you. It's all about how to think in English. So, let's dive right in and get started. Now, if you've been learning English for a while, you probably know that one of the biggest obstacles we face is translating from our native language into English. It slows us down, makes us nervous, and sometimes even makes us hesitate in conversations. But here's the good news. There's a way to overcome this, and it all starts with thinking directly in English. So, how do we do that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some easy and effective tips that you can start using immediately, and trust me, if you practice these regularly, you'll start thinking in English more naturally and faster than ever before. Alright, let's start by talking about why thinking in English is so important. When we translate everything in our heads, it feels like we're slowing down. Think about this. You're in the middle of a conversation in English, and someone asks you a question. You automatically translate the question into your native language, and then you translate your answer back into English. It's like a roadblock in your brain. But when you think in English directly, everything flows much more smoothly. You respond faster, your sentences are clearer, and before you know it, you're speaking with more confidence. Let's try an exercise right now. I want you to look around the room and name things in English. For example, I'm sitting in my studio right now, and I see a desk, a lamp, and a book. I'm not translating them from another language. I'm just thinking of them in English. Start with the simple things around you, objects, actions, and people. This exercise will help you start thinking in English more naturally and build a strong foundation. Now, let's talk about breaking the habit of translating. If you're someone who translates every word in your head before speaking, you're not alone. This is a very common habit among learners, but here's the thing. It's going to hold you back in the long run. The more you rely on translating, the more your brain sees English as something separate from your thoughts. It's like you're building a wall between your native language and English. So, how do you break this habit? Well, here are a few tips that can help you start thinking directly in English. Tip number 1. Start small. Start with simple, everyday things. Instead of saying Tasse in your head when you see a cup, just say cup in English. Or when you pick up your phone, think phone in English, not telefono in Spanish or telephone in French. These little shifts make a huge difference over time. Tip number 2. Label your environment. Another great exercise is to label things around your home in English. Grab some sticky notes and put them on things like your refrigerator, TV, and mirror. Every time you see the word mirror or refrigerator, you'll remind your brain that these things exist in English too, and it'll help you start associating the objects with English words rather than translating them. Example: Let's say you're looking at a book. You might be thinking, libro, right? But instead think book and say it out loud. I'm looking at a book. This helps you make that switch in your brain from thinking in your native language to thinking in English. Now, let's dive into some daily practices that will help you engage your brain in English. The more you practice thinking in English, the easier it becomes. It's just like exercising your muscles. The more you work them out, the stronger they get. Self-talk is one of the best ways to practice. Every day, talk to yourself in English. I know it might sound a bit funny at first, but trust me, this really works. For example, when you wake up, start describing what you're doing in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making my bed. Now I'm getting dressed. Simple, right? But the more you do it, the more your brain will automatically start thinking in English. Example. Okay, let's do this together. Close your eyes for a second and imagine that you're getting ready in the morning. Now, narrate what you're doing. I wake up. I stretch my arms. I grab my phone to check the time. You get the idea. And the best part is that you're doing it in English. Narrating your actions is also a great technique. Let's say you're cooking dinner. Instead of thinking about the steps in your native language, describe them in English. Now, I'm chopping the vegetables. I'm putting the potatoes in the oven. The food smells amazing. Again, it might feel a little strange at first, but the more you do it, the more your brain will be trained to think in English. Listening to English media is another great way to immerse yourself. When you watch TV shows, listen to podcasts, or read articles in English, your brain gets used to how English is used in context. The key is to expose yourself to English regularly so that it becomes natural for you. Now, here's an interesting tip. Use your emotions to help you think in English. Our emotions are powerful, and they can actually speed up the way we think. The more emotionally involved you are in a conversation or situation, the quicker you will process thoughts in English. It's like your brain is on autopilot when you're emotionally connected. Here's an exercise for you. The next time something exciting happens, try expressing it in English immediately, without thinking in your native language. For example, if you just receive good news, don't wait for the translation in your head. Just say, I'm so happy, or I can't believe this is happening. That emotional connection will help your brain think faster in English. Example. If you're feeling proud of yourself, you could say, I'm proud of what I achieved today. Or, this is a big accomplishment for me. These phrases will help you connect with English more naturally when you're feeling emotional. Next up, let's talk about thinking in English about specific topics. This is a powerful way to practice because it allows you to immerse yourself in different areas of life without translating from your native language. For example, let's say you love sports. Instead of thinking about it in your native language, describe your love for sports in English. I love playing basketball. I practice 3 times a week. I like the teamwork and the competition. My favorite player is LeBron James. You can do this with anything you're passionate about, whether it's cooking, fashion, or music. Describing it in English will help you think about it in English. Example: if you're talking about your goals, for instance, my goal for this year is to improve my English fluency. I'm going to practice every day, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Even if it's not perfect at first, just try to express yourself in English as much as possible. I know many of you might be afraid of making mistakes, and that's okay. Mistakes are part of the process. Every successful person who speaks English fluently has made plenty of mistakes along the way. The key is to keep moving forward, even when things don't go perfectly. You might feel embarrassed or frustrated, but remember, mistakes are just opportunities to learn. Don't let fear hold you back from thinking and speaking in English. The more you practice, the easier it will become. So, embrace your mistakes and use them as stepping stones to fluency. Example: imagine you're in a conversation and you accidentally use the wrong word. It's okay. Just smile, correct yourself, and keep going. Your goal is progress, not perfection. Narrator: let's talk about visualization techniques. This is a powerful tool to help you think in English. Visualization is like a mental rehearsal for real-life situations. Imagine yourself in different scenarios and see yourself thinking and speaking in English. For example, visualize yourself in a cafe, ordering a coffee in English. Hi, I'd like a cappuccino, please. Picture yourself having the conversation, and then actually say the words out loud. The more you practice these scenarios, the more comfortable you'll feel when they happen in real life. If you have a language partner, you're in luck. Practicing with a partner is one of the best ways to get better at thinking in English. You can do role-playing exercises where you act out real-world situations. For example, you could practice ordering food at a restaurant or asking for directions. You can also switch roles, so one time you're the customer and the other time you're the waiter. These role-playing activities will help you think on your feet in English. As we wrap up today's video, I want to remind you that learning to think in English is not a one-time trick. It's a long-term journey. But with consistency and patience, you'll get there. You might not see huge progress every day, but trust me, every little step you take is moving you closer to fluency. Remember, don't rush the process. Stay motivated, stay consistent, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. You've got this. Thanks for sticking with me today. I hope these tips help you start thinking in English more naturally. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment with any questions or thoughts you have. I'd love to hear how you're applying these techniques to your learning. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.